Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Timmy Treacle, and today I'm delivering you guys another top 10 list. Today I'm giving you my top 10 horror movies of the 1990s. Yes, the 1990s, especially during the first few years, saw a drop in horror movies and quality. It wasn't until the mid to late 90s is when it picked back up. And in my opinion, the 90s is the uh, weakest of the decades for horror movies as far as uh, real quality. There are some good ones, and there are some great ones, but just not as enough as you would find in the 80s, the 70s, in the 2000s, and now in the 2010s. I think 90s is the weakest decade. And no offense if you grew up in the 90s, it's not a shot at you guys. It's just my opinion, and uh, the movies and quality just don't lie, in my opinion. So, but without further ado, this is my top 10 horror movies of the 1990s. And before I give you the top 10, I have 5 honorable mentions. I have From Dusk Till Dawn, Wishmaster, That Rocks the Cradle, Seven, and Scream. Yes, all great movies. Just couldn't make my top 10. And before you guys start geeking out, um, I love Scream. I love Seven, but they just couldn't make my top 10. This is mine, not anyone else's. So, uh, without further ado, here we go. Number 10 is The Blair Witch Project. This 1999 movie came out. It's a found footage movie, but at the time when it came out, everybody believed that this was real and that they never found these kids. Um, but this movie made on a tiny uh, budget. I mean, talking hardly anything. It made big box office numbers. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I wanted to say it was over 300 million, if I'm not mistaken. In the comment section below, let me know for sure. But this movie scared the crap out of me when I first watched it, and I still love it to this day because it's not so much that there's, a lot of jump scares or anything, but it's that fear of being lost in the woods and you can't find your way out. That is the most terrifying thing about this movie. And then when their first friend disappears, they're freaking out even more. And when they finally get to the house, what really freaked me out the most is when old dude was just standing there in the corner and not doing nothing. And then she gets knocked out and the camera falls to the ground. And that's it. That third act alone is terrifying. But I love this movie. It is today still holds up. If I would have done this list in the year 2000, this would probably be my number one. But because I've seen and watched so many other movies since then, or I had seen other movies, just never did no top tens or anything, this would have been a lot higher. Probably be number one. But a great movie. Number 9 is a horror comedy, and that is Tremors. I love Tremors. Fred Ward, Kevin Bacon, Michael Gross. Uh, it is a um, great movie about these graboids. They get you from under the ground, and they have these little snake-like creatures that reach out and snatch you and pull you in. Reba McEntire's in this movie as well. Uh, I just love it, and it all takes place in this little dinky ass town of maybe of like 20 people, uh, and a lot of things happen to where they're not able to get out and get help in Bixby, so they're forced to deal with the problem themselves. And right now, they don't know how many of these things there are, and so they have to figure out what they can do to defeat these things. And I love Michael Gross in this movie, and Reba. They have all their guns, their bombs, and everything. And that's just great. But the two main leads, Fred Ward, Kevin Bacon, uh, are fantastic. Uh, the It's not so much that it is jump out of your shoes scary, but it really does have that intense, suspenseful feel to it because you don't know where they are until they're right up on you. If you see the ground moving and everything, you better be hauling ass and get someplace high. But they're real smart, and this is just a smart movie with a great cast. And I do enjoy um, the second movie as well. I really love that one. The third movie was okay, but then after that, it's just too much for me. They were supposed to do a TV show, uh, but they backed out of that, and I'm really disappointed with that. But yeah, Tremors number 9, great movie. Number 8 is Scream 2. This is my favorite in the franchise. A lot of people would go with number 1, but over time, part 2 to me just has it's more intense. It's got great kills in my opinion, and I just love it. Laurie Metcalf in this movie is great. Of course, we got Neve Campbell back. It's just a great sequel and a great movie. And then, like I said, Scream was number 1 on my 5 hour lunches, so it just missed out on the top 10. But I love Scream 2. I love this. It's a great sequel. And yeah, just a great follow up to the original movie. Number 7 is Candyman. Yes, Tony Todd. God, he's so creepy in this movie. I don't know if there's any sequels or anything. I haven't looked into that. But I love this movie. His character is the best in this. I mean, one of the best characters in horror movies, especially in the 90s. But the special effects, the kills, I loved everything about this movie. And if you haven't seen Candyman, I highly recommend it. It's fantastic. I believe it was 1992 when this came out. But Tony Todd is phenomenal. Number 6 is the reason why I don't like going to the dentist, and that is because of the movie, The Dentist. Corbin Burnson plays a dentist, and he has some real bad temper, and he has some real issues in this movie. And what he does to the people in this movie, I've only watched this movie once, and I don't ever know if I'll watch it again because of what he does in this movie. But it is a great movie. The kills are, I would say, some of the best I've seen, especially not in a franchise. I don't know if they made any sequels, but The Dentist is really good. It's one of those movies that not a lot of people know about, but you should definitely check out. It's freaking phenomenal. The Dentist coming at number 6. Number 5 is my favorite Stephen King adaptation, and that is Misery. Misery, just phenomenal. If you haven't seen the movie, this writer gets into an accident, and he is saved by a lady, and she decides to hold him hostage until he rewrites a book that happens to be one of her favorites, and she wants him to change what happens to one of her favorite characters in the book as well. And the one part in this movie, and this is a spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Misery, you might want to mute this, and I'll give you a thumbs up when it's done. But when she smashes his legs with the sledgehammers to keep him in bed and just to keep him there, that is one of the cringe-worthy moments I've ever seen in a movie. Just, oh my God, just thinking about it. I mean, I'm paralyzed from the waist down, and the thought of her taking that sledgehammer and just smacking my ankles, creepy. But this is a great movie. It's my favorite adaptation from a Stephen King novel. Misery comes in at number 5. Check it out. Coming at number 4 is a movie that is controversial in the Halloween franchise. and that is Halloween: The Curse of Michael Myers. I love the sequel. Paul Rudd, Donald Pleasance in his last uh, movie role in the Halloween franchise is phenomenal. George P. Wilbur again, I believe, as Michael Myers. I love this movie. I don't understand all the hate. I love all the sequels um, except for Season of the Witch and Resurrection. Even the Rob Zombie movies, I really like. Uh, this movie, if you haven't seen the director's cut, you definitely got to check it out. I haven't seen it yet. I heard a lot of great things about it, but I want to see it. I think you can see it on YouTube, but I haven't gotten to that point yet. But I love this Halloween movie. It's one of my go-to ones. It's on my DVR right now. Heck, I've watched it like 3 times this year. Uh, I don't understand people's hate for it. We finally figure out what's driving Michael's rage and why he's doing the killings and the whole Thorn thing. I like that backstory. And I love Paul Rudd in this movie. And of course, I love Donald Pleasance. I mean, if he was still alive, he would have done more movies. It would have made H2O even better. But I really wish they would have done these sequels a lot sooner. It took 6 years for them to do this other sequel. And, they could have squeezed at least 3 more movies out with Donald. Because Donald said he would have done the movies until he died. And, I mean, ultimately he did, but he's one of those figures that's just iconic. And I loved him in the movies, the Halloween movies. But this is a great sequel. It's one of my go-to. And, number 4. Coming number 3 is Sleepy Hollow, Johnny Depp, Christina Ricci. Phenomenal. I love Johnny Depp. I went to the theater in 1999 and watched this. I was on a date with the girl, Crystal Miller, back in 1999. She was a bus girl. I was a cook at Steak and Shake, and we went on a date. We watched this movie. Although I had my eyes more looking at her, I do remember this movie, and I've watched it so many times since then. This is another movie I go to in October that I just love. Johnny Depp as Ichabod Crane, just phenomenal. I love the cast, the story, the Headless Horseman. I mean, come on, who doesn't love that story? I mean, they've even done cartoons about, or animated shows about that movie. And I just love it. It's got obviously great kills with off with their heads, But Johnny Depp, in my opinion, this is one of his best movies. It's one of my favorite, and it definitely is in my top 10 Johnny Depp movies. But yeah, phenomenal movie. Definitely check out Sleepy Hollow. Great, brings back memories. It's going to be 20 years old next year. It's crazy. Number 2 is a movie that probably not a lot of people have seen. And it was 1999, I believe. Stir of Echoes, starring Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon plays a father who is seeing visions after being under hypnosis of this girl who had been missing. And so he's trying like hell to find this girl and to figure out what happened. And I'm not going to spoil it because I want you to see the movie. This is an underrated movie, in my opinion, just like Hollow Man with Kevin Bacon. I love that movie too. But Stir of Echoes, it's a phenomenal movie. It's so intense, it's suspenseful, and it's one of my favorite Kevin Bacon performances, in my opinion. And he does everything he can to find this girl and find out what happens. And when you do find out what happens, it's kind of crazy. But I love this movie. If I would have done this list, like I said, in 2000, this probably wouldn't be so high. But because the rewatch factor is just so high, it's one I watch again and in October. I love this movie, and yeah, it's phenomenal. And my number one favorite horror movie in the 1990s is Silence of the Lambs. I mean, did you expect anything else? I mean, Jodie Foster. I watched this movie for the first time last year. Yeah, last year. And I've seen it 6 times since then. I love this movie. I love Jodie Foster. I love the characters, the direction. This movie won an Oscar for Best Picture, I believe. It is the only movie to win an Oscar, and I believe it was for Best Picture. In the comment section below, let me know if I'm correct on that or not, but I believe so. But Silence of the Lambs, it follows two different stories. You have Hannibal Lecter, and then you have the creepy guy who lives in the basement, who has a deep hole where he keeps people. And he has a fascination with his mother and wanting to be a woman. And I believe it's Sideshow Bob is what it is. But yeah, this movie is freaking phenomenal. I love Jodie Foster. Ever since I watched that movie, I've watched at least 6 more of her movies, and she's fantastic. Not only acting, but directing. She's really good at directing, too. And Panic Room is another movie. Flight Plan, I really enjoyed. There's an 80s movie where she is a victim of rape, gang rape in a bar, and she's represented by a woman, and I can't remember the name of the movie, but she is phenomenal. I love this movie. It is definitely by far the best movie, horror movie of the 1990s. So in the comment section below, if you like this list, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon, and let's talk horror movies. Give me your top 10 in the comment section below, and let's have a discussion. But other than that, I thank you guys for watching this top 10 list, and I'll see you guys next time in the next top 10 list. Check you later.